Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
So Logan, the big elephant, is still in the room. This Activision Blizzard King purchase, well, Microsoft purchasing ABK basically. It felt like we were almost there, on the cusp of it just being done and dusted and for lives to be moved on with, but unfortunately we've got a few snafus to work out. There's appeals and the CMA is still pissing around with there's other concessions that can happen. But I do believe that this time next week, should there be an episode, in case there's, I always say it in case there's a tragedy or we just decide to retire next week, it could happen. I keep warning people not to take this for granted. We talk
All
about
good things come to an end.
We talk about hand in pocket, but that would help to stop a snap retirement, like a footballer who just had enough.
Delhi.
Well,
that's what he did.
I
He
haven't-
looked in the mirror.
Well, I haven't listened to it yet, but it sounds
Could
like
just been this.
sounds like a disaster for the lad. But
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is obviously a different sort of bin in it. I mean, he was binning it on the basis that he was thoroughly sick of everything and whatnot.
yeah,
But
This
we'd
is
just be
just-
binning it on the basis of purely a commercial decision that we just go, no,
yeah.
not economically viable, not worth the paltry return that it generates.
So anyway, I thought it was best to lead with the ABK stuff and Microsoft's purchase or intent to purchase that, because it felt like there was some big developments with the FTC basically being shut down, not being allowed to, their preliminary injunction being dismissed essentially, and there's an appeals process which we'll go through. There's some key dates coming up. So July the 18th is the date that you could, in theory,
Yeah.
Blizzard could, Activision could walk away and take $3 billion from Microsoft and go about their business. There's a clause in there that if the deal's not done by that date, in theory they could do that. I would suspect that if there are still delays, which it feels like in a matter of weeks this will be resolved, but again we're not really experts on how long this stuff takes. That even if it wasn't done on July the 18th, they'll just hash out an extension and say, look, we're probably a month away from settling this. Let's just carry on with this. We'll do it for another month, and we'll take the 70 bill. Thank you, and all the shareholders will be very happy with that, because that'll go around a bit more than what 3 bill will. But yeah, not going to comment too heavily more than that, really, other than just to put the lay of the land out there. And if and when it is finally done or close to being done or formally announced, all that stuff, we can then get into probably some interesting discussions about what they do with everything, because there's a hell of a lot of movement that's going to be happening over the next few years should this end up going through. But any comments from you? I mean, it's all a bit of it's more your wheelhouse, all this court crap from younger years of you, but it just seems like a real, as we've discussed before, a real ball ache for everyone involved. I'm just waiting for my check to come through from Phil. I've got these shares sitting there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for it to come through the post. Phil signed it. It says, there you go, Mr. Apps. There's your
If it goes through,
your
you're
money.
just going to sell it, or you're going to hold it.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I've got to look into exactly what happens. I'm not sure whether you just get given the equivalent Microsoft shares or whether you just get the cash.
Oh, sorry, I see what you mean. So, because it's I suppose it depends how they run it.
It does, yeah. Apparently, they will keep it a separate entity, but Microsoft will own the... I don't know. This is what I need to look into, really. 'Cause I actually don't know whether I'll just get given a lump sum of the value of what is paid, or they'll say, okay, you've now got the equivalent amount in Microsoft shares, and then at that point...
I don't think it works that way.
No.
So I don't think you'll get the equivalent of a dividend or a portion of it.
Just get the cash.
Well, no. So what?
Get nothing. I lose. Hello?
No. So the way that I'd expect that to work is in the share price. So the share price will intrinsically go up because of that, and that's where you'd be quids in.
And then at that point, it'd be my responsibility to sell at that price.
Yeah. Well, you'd go, well, is it going to get any higher than this, or do I just
Depends
cash
what
in?
they're up to.
I could be wrong on that.
Well, Well, I'll find out. I'll find out in real time and report back. But I think it depends. You're right. It depends on exactly what the details are on how they actually, construct the deal. But if they remove ABK from the market, for example, then there's no shares to be had at that point. And I think the shareholders on a minor and a major thing are just paid the value. But
yeah.
That's when I did it, that's what I read could happen. But I didn't care to look at it too much. I mean, it's not millions of quid, fortunately. I haven't got a million quid, believe it or not. Sitting here looking like this, would I? If I had $1 million in the bank.
I don't know. When you look at some of the million and billionaires, like that guy that owns that bloody crypto exchange, looked like he'd just been dragged off the streets.
He's probably spent all his life at his computer, though, and profited now.
Well, he has, yeah. But yeah, I don't actually know what's going to happen. I'd be interested to find out, because maybe you're right. Maybe because you technically own part of that company, why would you not be entitled to some of the profits?
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that would be some sort of... They call it a corporate action.
I was getting little emails saying, here's the shareholders meeting on this day and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I could have attended. I don't think I had enough to ask anything, but I could have attended should I chose to. But
Interesting. Well, keep us updated.
We'll
Obviously,
do.
You don't have to tell us monetary values.
It ain't life-changing.
It doesn't matter. It's free. Sometimes you take a punt in life and you get rewarded.
That was always my philosophy on it. I was like, I know this is not a guarantee, so I'm not going to put a load of money in it. I'm going to put enough money that I think I'm happy with losing a great portion of and not be annoyed at. And that's how you got to play the game.
Yeah. It's like what you do when you go to a casino. Yeah. Only gamble what you can afford to lose. I mean, no one can afford to lose anything really in this life, but don't be banking your mortgage on it is basically the philosophy of life.
No. Although, if it comes off, life-changing, but that's not what's happened here. Anyway, so I think hopefully on the next episode or the episode after that, we can confidently sit here and say, right, this is definitely happening, or definitely not, maybe. I don't know what happened for that to be an occurrence. And then we can talk about all the shit that Microsoft have got to figure out what they're going to do with, and that'll be...
Basically, let's not get drawn into speculation yet.
No. All we know is that I'm under the cosh and we don't know what's happening with my payout and my check from Phil. Maybe I should just DM him and say, look, friend of the show, what actually happens? And it'll be complicated because it'll be through this fucking app that I've used to invest in. There's all commissions. I'll probably end up worse off, and then I'll be like, well... That's why you don't get involved in this nonsense that you don't really
It should be okay.
Understand.
Those apps normally charge what's called an execution fee. So you usually get charged on the way in, not on the way out. So there you go. I don't know though.
No, we'll find out.
You might have to speak to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs though, depending on the value.
My view is they should be telling me if I've overstepped them. I ain't got time to tell them. I don't think that's how it works though, is it?
Their view is that you tell them what you've got and they'll make the decision.
Why can't they just look?
Well, they do for some of it. So if you earn a
That's
load
what
of
I mean.
interest,
They should be doing all of it. Don't do some of it, you daft bastards.
Yeah. It's weird. Some of it they go, you tell us, and some of it go, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then they expect you to know the difference. And if you don't do it, they come after you and go, you're a fucking criminal. You go, well,
hang on.
Like, make this easy. No.
I'm not sure I could handle being like properly self-employed to have to do all that every year. I mean, you pay people to do that pretty much for you. That level,
this is the problem. So my brother's self-employed, and we're going off on a tangent, but we love a tangent, and this is life stuff. He's self-employed, and he completely fucked it. Forgot to save his tax up, and then they went, "Yep," and he went, "Ah." They
just asked for it, and you got to pay it.
Well, yeah, and it's like, well. So you're either super on it, but he was like, well, my accountant basically went off sick for 3 months and didn't tell me. So he got the letter. They got the letter through. It all went through the accountant. The accountant was off sick, and that was it. So this is how it can go in life. Yeah, I'm completely on board with you there. Self-assessments and doing all that crap. I'd rather have pay as you earn.
Yeah, that's what I'd enjoy. But we'll see. Well, I think we're at the end of this saga. It's going to go in 18 months. So... It is a saga.
Bad, isn't it?
I know. But then again, I always said that it's so big that, of course, it's not just going to get waved through in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's like... It's one of the biggest mergers or acquisitions in tech, all of tech, let alone the gaming industry. It's just...
A huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's massive. Even outside of tech, that's a huge acquisition.
Yeah. And look, deserved the scrutiny. It's got it, and there's been concessions made by Microsoft that's going to help gamers, it seems.
They would have known that as well, I suspect.
Oh, yeah.
You go in with your highest bid and they go, hang on. And you go, all right, well, let's do this, and that. And they'll still get what they want out of it. Make no do that.
They're going to be making a lot of money. They're already making a lot of money as it is, but even more so now. Anyway, this is Idle Game Chat, the video game podcast. Dimp Digital's flagship show, and only show, in fact. So, is it even called a flagship if there's not even supplementary content out there? Don't know. Let the audience decide about that.
One day it might not be. Someone might come back to listen to this and they'll go, this is the flagship show. Interesting.
True. That is true. Got my self apps running the operations, as I used to say. And it is an operation. There's all sorts of screens and windows and level checks up and recordings. And I mean, it does it. You just press a button now and it pretty much does it. But it was worse back in the day when we started and only had audio.
Do you remember we had to do like proper pre-audio checks where we'd record something for like 10 seconds. You'd have to go back, have to leave the call, you'd have to test the audio, come back and go, yep, and we'd still forget to press record sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I should do that now, but I'm so complacent that I don't. And actually, it wasn't 2-3 weeks ago that it cost me. I ran a stream the weekend previous, and I'd moved the levels down on the on desktop audio, which is what you come out of, and I didn't put it back up when we were talking to you. So when I had the master copy of what we just done, your volume was lower than mine by half, and I had to run it through a levelator, which I've had for ages, which does bust the quality a little bit, but not so much that you're better off having even audio where you sound the same sort of volume as me, rather than a little bit of extra noise. Again, it's only people are wearing all manner of shit on their heads these days. I mean, I've got this set here. Look at this fucking thing, this contraption. Audio listeners can't see it, but it's basically a headset that don't go in your ears. It goes round the back of your head and sits on the bones on the outside of your ears. 25 quid. That's not going to give you fucking 3D quality audio, is it? So I think, what's the matter? I've seen people wearing this shit all around London, and they've got enough to buy proper stuff. So what's the point in making the effort of people? Anyway, if you want us to make the effort, patreon.com/Dimp Digital is the place to go.
I guarantee we'd make the effort, though.
No, definitely not. I think they've taken away goals now on Patreon as well. So you could, in theory, one day put like, if we earn 10 grand a month, we'll put the effort in and put that as a goal. But I don't think you can even do that anymore.
I love that. I love the idea of going 10 grand a month and we'll put the effort in.
We'll start trying. Dear me. Right. So here we go. We've got EA Sports FC 24.
Yeah.
It's had its full reveal, release date. It's got crossplay, which I didn't know was a thing that wasn't a thing on pro clubs. I thought it was all crossplay, but apparently not. Ultimate Team and more. We've got
just on pro clubs.
Well, that's what it says in the article, and I don't know enough whether that was the only thing that didn't have it, and they've added it, or whether that's always been the case. So again, not come prepared with the facts. First thing I want to get out of the way with is when you look at this on like VGC, which is the website I frequently cite, it will say EA Sports FC 24. Okay, you go into like the I don't know. You look at the label and it says FC 24, which sounds better to me. I think the guys want to call it FC 24, not EA Sports FC 24, because EA Sports FC is a fucking mouthful. Do you agree or not?
I think it's all shit, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, I remember the days of like what was it, like eFootball or something like it was.
Yeah.
What was it? IS.
It used to be International Superstar Soccer Pro.
That's it.
ISS. Then went to Pro Evolution Soccer. Then sort of down to PES. Now eFootball.
I've never even really liked FIFA.
No.
Like as a name, like I don't know. I just think something football. I mean, there's got to be a way of naming a game in a more catchy way than going EA Sports FC.
Well, no one calls Madden EA Sports Madden 24, do they? They go Madden 24. In the same way we used to go FIFA 24, FIFA 23. So I think we're going to call it FC number going forward.
I think so. Yeah, because people ain't going to do that mouthful and EA Sports will get dropped. But it's just shit, and they've really not thought this through in my view.
I do maintain, I'm not going to sit here and say I know the answer of what it should be, but I do maintain there was a better option out there somewhere than FC 24 FC number. There was
You
something
can imagine them
else.
sitting in a room, and then all these people are nodding to it, and you're like the only sane person in the room that's going, "What are we doing?" Like you've been there, I've been there, and you go,
Well, what I find, it's normally on a conference call or a video call, and then you'll be sitting in a room with like two people. There'll be other people off site. Someone will say FC24. Your boss or someone will go, but won't say anything. They'll just shake their head, and then it'll just be waved through, and that'll be how it maintains and goes through.
and you're sitting there and you're thinking, "How's that got flagged through? Like, why have we not?" Like, it's just bizarre, isn't it? But I imagine there's obviously some element of EA Sports wanting to get their name out there.
That's
in terms
always
of
going to be badged on it, isn't it? I mean,
like,
that's always going to be
inevitable.
But yeah,
But there you go.
FC24. September 29th, we got old Erling, who's going to be on the box. I think there's like a Premier Edition that has about 17 people in the box, so he's not...
Who cares?
I don't care about that, no. It's coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC and Switch. So you get a legacy version of that. Now, it's got the full UEFA suite here, which is interesting. So you've got the Champions League, got the Women's Champions League, the Europa League, that Europa Conference League for the Hammers, the Irons, and the Super Cup. What's the Super Cup? That's the Europa versus the Champions League winner, isn't it?
League, yeah.
So that Conference League doesn't get anything then? Doesn't even get a third place. They should do a third place playoff, Europa League versus Conference League winner, and then
It's not a third place playoff, is it? So
sorry.
the Super Cup is like just between the two winners of. It was the Cup Winners' Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, there's three of them. There's three cups. So they've got the two lower ones should play each other to face the Champions League winner. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, sorry, I'm with you now. So a mini league.
Who's running that UEFA now? Is that? I can't remember.
I don't fucking know. The
ain't
next
Sepp
crooked
anymore, is it?
bastard, allegedly.
No, who wasn't Sepp? Wasn't Sepp was FIFA, wasn't it? It was Platini.
Sepp was FIFA. Yeah, I don't actually know. Who is it? What are we looking at? Europa. UEFA. What is he called? UEFA
President, probably. They love
President.
that word.
That's it. I was thinking CEO. Alexander Seferin.
Yeah.
He looks like a crook.
He'd done was speaking about Delhi earlier. He'd done an interview with Neville on that Overlap YouTube channel. It's actually quite interesting, but he weren't happy with that Super League. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
interesting. Third term. That must have been ages ago, Platini.
I think he went unopposed last time as well. And
I'm sure Platini went under a cloud of controversy.
They all do. They all get found out eventually. Someone susses it out, and that's the end of it for them.
Yeah, that's very true.
They all get sussed out. They'll find out.
Mind you, sorry, I'm just going through it. It looks like most of them are unknowns. But anyway, go on. Let's carry on with the podcast, shall we? Rather than me researching UEFA presidents of the last 30 years.
Well, it's a light week, so it's fine. And we'll still run over. So that's the way it always goes. 2 additional women's leagues, the Google Pixel Bundesliga and Liga F, are joining the Super League, which is the English Super League, and we've got the National Women's League here. So women are going to be in the Ultimate Team for the first time in history. I wonder if that's going to be a separate team, whether they're able to play cross. Like you'd have you think it's to be separate?
No. Well, there's no way that you could put the two together.
No. Well, I'm playing the AEW game and you can. I know wrestling's a little bit more out there and they do intergender matches, but they don't do intergender matches in AEW, but they do in the game. And you can just get like Chris Jericho to slam Ty Mello into some thumbtacks and bust her head open.
Yeah, but if you think about...
You can.
I don't know why that's caught me off guard. Thumbtacks.
You can set fire to the table and slam her through that if you want.
Really take it out on them.
Not sure if people have cottoned on to what you can do in that game, because normally that's usually a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, they have. But no, I mean, everyone chooses. Put it this way: if the best woman player, the best female player in the world, was better than some of the male players in that position for whatever reason, But I think it's widely accepted, and it isn't controversial to say.
No.
Well, you're saying no.
No, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say they're useless and they can't play against the men. I know that's what you mean, but I'll paraphrase it for you. But what I was going to say as a counter was that in the game, they may be rated similarly, in a similar manner that you wouldn't know.
Well, if they are, that's a nonsense, right? Yeah. And I think this goes back to the point. It's like, clearly, Raheem Sterling is quicker than, if not every single female player out there. Right, so then this would be my problem: is if it's in the same, you why? Like, what are you doing? Like, because there'd probably be silver maximum rated players. Like, you're never going to get in those top echelons.
No.
So you would expect
segregation here.
A segregation. That would be what makes sense.
Does Football Manager have the women's tournaments and leagues?
Currently, no.
Interesting.
It will do.
Oh, yeah, it will.
No. It's already been announced. It will do.
I think I may have even said that on an earlier podcast.
Yeah. No, that's fine. The next one will. But I don't know. I do wonder, like, how much actual demand there is for that. Like, it's fine. I don't mind them putting it in there, but I don't know whether. I don't know. I'd be interested to know, and not even just so that I can go see. I told you it's a waste of time. I would genuinely be interested to know, like, the play figures, if they have. They must have some data.
There's like the Greek league in EA. Do you know what I mean? There is so much tut in these games. Like, say tut. There's like lower level, non-popular stuff that is in these games to build a real world scenario and to give players options. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like,
and again, I am fine with it. Like, I'm not saying why are we wasting time, but I don't know. When it adds something, like, there's a big thing made of it, right? And I understand, like, there's a lot of focus on women's game, and after, I think it was either the last World Cup or Euros, like, there was a big hype after it, and I was like, yeah, I understand. Like, I get it.
Yeah, they won and the men can't.
Yeah, and I was I was fully for it. I was like, yep, I can understand that, but, like, continuing to, like, add them into other modes and do. I'm fine with it, but it's like, how does that fit in with the ecosystem? To your point, are they going to be together? Are they going to be segregated? Like,
I don't know. It's
an interesting one.
That's I would assume it's a segregation, and maybe it's written down somewhere and I haven't seen it. But this fucking article from VGC doesn't give us the detail, so we cite them and praise them.
Necessary detail.
Well, here's the next lack of detail. Pro Clubs mode will feature cross-play for the first time in franchise history too. Doesn't mention about any other modes, so there's no way of me telling. We should have got Parky on, he knows about all this. I should have at least asked him. But
so Pro Clubs is where
you take control of one player with
per,
6 to 8 of you probably play.
Yeah. So we did that for a bit. It makes sense.
Me, you, Pee-wee and Robbo did it once.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Played a few games.
I had that giant up front.
Yeah, and then Cop was some absolute giant midfield, central midfield bustler, I think, if I remember rightly. Pee-wee was a centre half, and I think I was chucked out on the wing somewhere.
Just
a horrible combination. Yeah,
just chucked out wide, stay out of trouble.
Do the running, Chrissy.
Stay in those channels.
I think that's a good addition, but it does make you wonder. Just do the whole lot. Like, it seems to be, on most games, it's kind of an accepted thing now, cross-platform games. I am pleased to see it, but yeah, I think I'm with you. It'd be a bit odd. Like, I should be able to play someone on FIFA on a PlayStation on my Xbox, like, irrespective of game mode. In my view, there's no reason to say yep for Pro Clubs and then no to a friendly or whatever. Like, that'd seem a bit of an odd thing. But maybe Pro Clubs, to your point, was the last one to be introduced.
Hypermotion 5, it's what EA have said, not my words. Hypermotion 5 is our biggest leap forward in realism to date.
I ain't having it.
Listen, translating the rhythm and fluidity of real world football into, and this is now in capitals, the world's game. That's like a statement now. Using volumetric data from more than 180 professional men's and women's football matches that allow us to reflect real world movement in game more than ever before. Now look, they cited a bit of data there. More than 180 matches. That ain't a lot. Think how many football matches take place across just Europe every weekend. It probably eclipses that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems like a low data set if you're asking me. I mean, what if it's fucking Watford v West Brom they've been watching? How's that going to translate?
It's just shit. It ain't
It's
changed.
bollocks, innit?
It's
It is
the thing
utter
that annoys me. I suspect it does, right? If you went back to FIFA 12 and played that versus FIFA 24, like 12 years of iterative changes.
Yeah.
But the problem for me is that they don't. Right. I'm not going to labour this point too much, but I probably will. So if I do, stop me. But in Football Manager, like they've got an engine.
Spreadsheet.
You know how that engine works,
It's a macro,
right?
isn't it?
Yeah. But you know how it works, and then they bolt something on, and you go, okay, well, I know how the basics work. I'll spend some time understanding this bolt on.
Yeah.
Now, FIFA tends to speed up play, slow down play, add new mechanics, take them out, change how this mechanic works. Like, and you're forever like learning. And I don't know whether that's accidental or deliberate, because to prevent like fatigue, so you don't just get on it and go, it's the same game. Like that they're actively doing stuff all the time. But it's like some years I pick it up. I remember I picked it up, and I haven't picked it up for many years, I'll be honest. And it'd feel like really slow and sluggish.
Yeah.
And then other years, like you'd pick it up and you'd go, fucking hell, this gameplay's like all around pace and everything. And I think that's what annoys me about it, is that. And every year you hear this word, like, the most realistic ever, the latest engine, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I pick it up, I'm like, it's arguably 99% the same. You've just changed some stuff around. Like,
They've got 2 more bullet points here, citing new improvements.
it's horse shit. I'm not having it.
Play styles, they call this. Optimised by, what's that data? Opta, is it? You know, data.
Yeah.
Going beyond the overall ratings to bring... going beyond overall ratings to bring... To bring to life the on-pitch abilities that make players special. Each play style gives players unique capabilities you'll see and feel that make their way of playing more authentic. I feel like we've had this with traits. I feel like we've had this with abilities and all that sort of stuff. So that's what play style is offering. Then we've got an enhanced Frostbite engine.
Sorry, just on that earlier point, you know what they've done, right? They've said players that have got this group of statistics or these, that's how they play like.
Yep.
That's all they've done.
Ronaldo can hit a knuckleball.
Yeah, like Ibrahimovic, Haaland, they can like absolutely fucking wallop it.
Declan Rice can run around longer than most.
Kante in that, but like it ain't rocket science. You and I can do it.
Wow.
Henderson shouting, put him in a bucket with someone else.
Well, they got the Saudi League.
Well, I mean, if they
at some point they're going to have a lot of players over there that people want to play.
By the end of this summer, they will.
Yeah, they certainly will. I might have to look that up in a break when you're waffling. Enhanced Frostbite engine delivers the world's game in lifelike detail, bringing a new level of immersion through redesigned player models, smoother animations, and visibly unique characteristics that make each player special. Again, it doesn't make each player special, because the further you go down them leagues, the more generic these poor fuckers end up, don't they? We've seen it years over years playing with Southend when they were in it. They were just carbon copy generic faces with the skin colour and hair colour done and the attributes of like.
But I was
corners.
fine with that.
No,
I was genuinely fine with that. Like, I don't understand this. Like, it's great to have realism and all that kind of stuff. It's a simulation game ultimately, and I'm fine with that. But I remember I used to play, I can't even remember what it was called, but I had Christian Vieri up top, and I fucking loved it. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't care what he looked like. To me, he was Christian Vieri. And it's just a strange, I don't know, I feel like they've got really sucked into this, like, and this is a common complaint I have about games anyway. They get sucked into realism rather than enjoyable gameplay.
Wow. Simulator.
Yes, but
that's what you said to me many years ago. Why you preferred FIFA over Pro Evo? You said because it gives you that simulatory experience.
But it still had an enjoyable gameplay underneath it, right? And I think
Hypermotion 5.
The reason FIFA lost me is because, and football games in general, is because all of them tried to go for this like hyper realistic setting of football rather than an enjoyable, like the best way to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just a side point I've got about not just even about like sports games, but about games in general. Is that they go for this? They get sucked into everything being hyper realistic rather than hyper enjoyable.
Well, I've got Hypermotion 5, which we mentioned earlier. Only available on PS5, Series X and S, and PC. So if you're on Xbox One, PS4, or Switch, you're SOL on the Hypermotion. Anyway, I looked at the Saudi League, and yes, they actually announced that back in 2022, EA Sports and the Saudi Pro League licensing agreement extended until 2026. So you can bet that'll be re-extended in a few years' time, probably for even more money as that league builds in player power and star power. That's literally where Ultimate Team is taking place in real life, I feel like.
Correct. Yeah, it's Ultimate Team / Football Manager is happening. Right, it's unbelievable. One question that I don't know applies to this podcast necessarily, but is how are they applicable or are they not to financial fair play?
I think financial fair play is a European initiative. It's UEFA sanctioned and controlled, so they fall outside of that.
Yeah.
I believe.
I thought so, but I just wanted to pick your brains on that.
Yeah, so
they're all offering Jordan Henderson $700,000 a week. So what are we doing? No real agenda against Jordan. He does a lot of shouting, but seems a lot of money for that.
Yes, that is a lot of money for him. Let's just leave it as that for old Jordan before the Pool fans start getting angry.
Adkins will get annoyed with me.
Anyway, one question left. Obviously, the branding's changed. It's not called FIFA anymore. It's going to be called this FC24 and FC20. Do you think there's any drop in sales or based on just people not realising where it is or what it is? I mean, Biff messaged me saying, "Is this the new FIFA?" when he saw like the reveal, and I went, "Yes," and that's all we needed. But even he wasn't 100% sure, but he would have found it out if he just cared to enter it into Google. Do you feel like most people who want it will find it, and parents that are buying it for kids, which is obviously it's a very popular game for gifting and whatnot? Do you foresee any problems for EA now that they've lost the FIFA badge on it?
I no. I mean, there will be the odd few that go, "I'm looking for FIFA. Where's FIFA?" And they'll go, "Oh, it's this."
Yeah.
Like, I think there'll be an element of that. But I would suspect, and I don't know this for certain, but in the existing FIFA 23, there must be some sort of alert or something within like the menu that says.
I would have changed all the billboards on the pitches to
right. So I think there must be that going on as well. I don't know, but if I was doing it, I would expect that there is an element of setting the seed for EA Sports FC 24.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there'll be a minority of people that are like, "What's this? Where's that come from?" It seems to be FIFA, is it? But I don't think it'll materially impact their ability to market and sell the game.
Because the inertia is people want a football game, and they'll go, "All right, where's that FIFA?" But they won't just give up.
PES is dead.
Well, yeah,
right?
exactly. eFootball's gone pretty much. It's there as a free-to-play offering now, so it's a completely different model.
Yeah.
Like people are going to go into Game or wherever, they're going to go into the shop, the e-store or the PlayStation store. It's going to be in the same spot it always is, like a big marketing prominence on the main page, and you're just going to put two and two together and realise that's what it is. And it'll probably say somewhere in the description from the makers of FIFA, here's a new football game. And after this year, that'll be the end of it. They'll be hooked onto FC 25, 26 going forward. So
I mean, there's going to be things like search engine tags. So if you search FIFA 24, that'll come up. It's going to be all this stuff that will just make it super easy for people to identify. There might be the odd person that's a bit like caught back by it. I think Cop started playing it, and he said he didn't know that it was going to be renamed. He went, "Oh, all right." Like that was literally it. Like there's no kind of like reaction beyond that. So I imagine it will be fine.
Not going to not buy it. Anyway, that's FC 24 coming out September. Loads of goodies if you want to pre-order, but that's going to be coming very shortly. Actor claims he's playing main character in Call of Duty 2024. It will reportedly be a new Black Ops game set during the Gulf War. Luke Charles Stafford claimed on social media channels that he'll appear in the unannounced game as a character named Ratcliffe. So, as you're the Call of Duty man, I don't know if you even care about these campaigns these days. This is 18 months away from now. But Gulf War setting, which seems like an interesting... I mean, it actually is... I don't really care about these campaigns anymore. I wouldn't pay 70 quid for them, let's put it that way. Now, with what's going on with Xbox and whatnot, that may not be the case at some point in the future, but this is supposedly being a Treyarch game as well, which I can't remember. I can't keep up on which ones are good or bad, but...
Sledgehammer, real poor. Right. Treyarch, poor. Infinity Ward, good.
Titles.
Some people disagree, though.
Yeah,
some people prefer Treyarch's style and map design. It's, that I do have to add is personal preference for me.
Yeah.
But Sledgehammer are shit.
Yeah. That's universal, is it?
Yeah.
Is this of any interest to you in a Gulf War setting?
No.
Do you even bother with the campaigns at all?
No.
Do you even try them? Do you even think, I'll just play an hour just in case it gets hooks in me?
I don't care for them. The thing is they're like, if I was to grade them, I'd probably say they're like a C plus B minus. Like they're not bad. They're actually reasonable. But when I'm thinking about playing a single player game, I want it to be B plus and in the A's.
Yes.
Like that's where it gets played. I don't want to play, generally speaking, games that are acceptable, like from a single player, like especially if I've bought it for a multiplayer setting. That being said, there were some interesting little additions like co-op things and things to do within the new Modern Warfare that were quite cool. But I don't know. I find it interesting that people still do these and the amount of effort they put into it. Like, I actually kind of think fair play. Like, they are still trying to make a good.
Which one was it
where
they didn't make? Was it a Black Ops of sorts where they didn't do a campaign? I think it might have been the year they did Blackout.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that's the end of it. They're not going to bother. But seemingly the next year they returned with one, which always seemed like a weird experiment. They floated out there and then.
So that's the one, I think, where they binned off the single player and they released the Battle Royale instead. And a lot of people actually really liked that Battle Royale, and they were disappointed that they...
Black Ops 4 it was.
Right, okay.
And it had Blackout, which was the first go at Warzone, what that would become.
Yeah, a lot of people actually really liked that and were disappointed when they didn't follow up with something with Blackout. But anyway, that's a side story. The gameplay of that looks shite, by the way. I really wouldn't have enjoyed that. I do think I sort of tip my hat to them and think fair play, because the actual overall package of Call of Duty, in terms of value, is very good. Like you get so much content and they support it in a really good way for the period of the game. Like you can't knock them for that, but it's interesting. I don't understand. I think they're running out of wars to cover. I think it's a real problem for them. It's tricky.
Well, in 15 years they'll be going after Ukraine, won't they? Let's be honest. 15, 20 years. Once that's, if and when that's resolved, it just gets rolled in. Once it's been a certain amount of time, they go, right, let's base one in
it's
there.
like Vietnam tick. Like actually, I don't think they've done a Vietnam. Maybe that's still too.
I get confused. I don't know if they have. World at War did Pacific, I think, which obviously isn't Vietnam.
They did.
That was always felt. I was like, oh, that's a bit different because it's World War II for most of the games for a long time. Then in the modern era, Black Ops has always been a bit weird in that they're not always full-scale wars. They're black operations behind, enemy lines and whatnot, so they can kind of be a bit more creative with it. But who knows? They're still chugging along. Yearly releases are going to be coming without doubt, and they're not going to stop that.
Well, whilst it's a cash cow anyway.
Well, exactly. Listen to this one.
Yeah.
UK monthly chart, so not the European one. This is
just UK.
Lower rung. 82% of Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, and Diablo and F1 sales, so they're all the games that came out in June, not all of them, some of the big ones, were digital. 82%. They are. Maybe there's a couple missed off, but they're probably the big releases of June, like name-wise.
Yep.
And in the UK, I believe they took the top sort of 5 odd spots for most of it anyway. That's insane. 82%. It's UK only, But
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's that high, the slant.
Why?
Well, 82%.
Yeah, but but why?
I don't know. I just feel like it would be 60%, and I wouldn't bat an
Why?
eyelid.
What's the advantage these days of me getting up off my arse, going into town, paying for parking,
I'll order
walking
it
in,
online. I'll tap
get
Amazon.
20 minutes of hassle? Do you want to
Amazon.
buy this fucking controller with your game? Do you want to insure it? Do you want to this that, and it? Oh, this do all that bollocks. Come home, get all fucking stressed out in the traffic. Like when I can sit here and
There we go.
just go download.
But you've painted one scenario. I've just painted another. I'll go onto Amazon. I'll get Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Retail delivery. Same day
When?
delivery. Thank you.
When?
Well, now. I could do it right now if I wanted.
When's it coming?
Today. Same day. By 10 o'clock.
Right. I can go on there now, press download, and I can play
Yeah,
it.
you can wait all day for those servers
I've
to
got
wake up.
500 meg broadband here now.
Xbox and
All
PlayStation
fibre.
ain't using that. They're capping all that. Anyway.
So, but my point is, and there used to be an advantage because digital was priced over physical. So you'd have to pay for the convenience, right? So I used to be able to go on there. It'd be £55 for a download. I'd go into a store and it might be 45. That gap has basically gone.
63 quid, so it's a slight saving, seven quid to do it off Amazon rather than digital.
So, but the gap has changed, right? And I think most people are just like, I want to play it. I can get it now. My broadband's good enough to download it in a reasonable time frame. Because don't forget as well, back in the day, like you used to have like 35 meg broadband. It would literally take you 2-3 days to download a full game, right? Yeah, and I can have a game downloaded now, full game within a couple of hours. Like the accessibility just makes it so much more attractive to people. And let's be honest, COVID's changed people's buying habits because no one could be fucked to get off their arse anymore. Everyone just wants to order everything online and have it. Do you know what I mean? That's true.
It's true.
It's just reality. Like it's changed people's buying habits where like,
accelerated that not going to shops and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to buy clothes. I'd rather have things either delivered to my door. I don't want to go and get it. I want it to come to me. Right, and that's just the reality. People's buying habits have changed. The how people buy games are changing. You know, everything's much more available and digital. So, I am actually surprised that people still go and buy things in physical.
Wow.
But that being said, the way to do it, if you're clever and not lazy, is 100% to go and buy physical and then trade the fucker in. 100%. It's the right thing to do. So I don't ever want them to remove physical. I think that is a slippery slope. But I can understand why everyone is moving at a more rapid pace toward digital sales.
Yeah. 82%. Lazy.
And
people.
I'll give you as well. Just sorry, I know we're going to run over, but the other example, the precursor to this is films, DVDs, music, CDs. Like music and CDs gone essentially.
Well,
like most people that wants that stuff are now just like on records. Like they just play
want vinyl. They want the old school because it's a
it's a better way to consume it, and and it's a collector's thing, right? But there's very little demand for CDs. I don't know anyone now that uses a DVD player to consume.
I haven't even got one. I've got these consoles in here, but in the main room there ain't even a device there.
Doesn't exist. If it ain't on digital, you ain't watching it, right? That's the reality. So why would gaming not go the same way?
Not insulated, is it?
I just think we'll be sitting here in a few years' time, and it'll be more games would have gone digital only. It'll be the way that we consume this sort of media. If we're not on clouds fully yet, but honestly, I can't see it go any way but closer to sort of 95%.
Yeah.
At least in the UK, I think we're very much
lazy bastards.
We do everything. We tap everything. We don't like it. It's just the way that we do things here now. You go to Germany, they don't understand the concept of tapping. They don't understand like it's cash. And so, well, you can, but it's like. It's people still go to the banks. Like, still very much a bank cash economy. So, like whenever I've been to Germany, you go and buy stuff in a bakery, and like, it's literally like cash only.
Yeah. There's
Like,
places in London. There's bars in London you go to, and this was only probably 12 months ago, if that.
Yeah.
And they were card only.
I go to Black Sheep for my coffee in the morning.
Yep.
When I'm in London.
No cash.
Card only. That annoys me.
I got 50 quid out for nothing.
Almost out of principle, I want to go no, but they do nice coffee, so I have to concede on it, which annoys me a bit. But I'm like, just take it. Like, how can you refuse legal tender? I want to ask that in there, but it's too early most of the time.
Also, like, I always thought from a business perspective, like, if you take cash, you're not having to charge. You have to pay a card fee, a merchant.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
like you're
1.5% minimum out the door.
It's even for them. They're giving up money for a level of convenience, aren't they? Because they haven't got to worry about cashing up at the end of the fucking day. They haven't got to worry about cash going missing. It's like, we'll take the 1.5% loss on each transaction. We probably just put our price up a little bit.
There'll be a cost for a courier that they'll have to have to courier cash and all that sort of stuff. So there is a cost to them that they've probably netted off and just gone, we'll bin it. But it does annoy me.
And they put those prices up by 50p probably.
It is one of the most expensive places to buy coffee that I've found. But anyway, we digress.
Black
but the point is, they do something called Robusta Revival, right? So Robusta is double the caffeine.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's the reason it's installed, is because you get from a single shot double espresso style coffee.
Does it taste strong? Well, it does taste stronger. It's not just they're not just pumping.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, it's like genuinely like nice coffee. So that's why I have to.
Is it busy in there?
No. Well, this is the best thing as well. You get the app, right? You get the app. You can order the coffee.
Yeah.
So I get off the train, I order my coffee, I walk in there, and it's on the side. They've just made it. You pick it up, you go, thank you, and off you go.
Interesting.
So
where's this place? I need to go there.
Well, there's one down Fenchurch Street and there's another one down Eastcheap. They're all like they're dotted around dotted all around. But next time you're in London and you walk past one, give it a go. We specifically go to the Eastcheap one, so I can't vouch for others.
Right. But you'd expect there to be a similar level of quality across the. Because I'm struggling to find decent coffee when I go in. It's
Caravan City by Cannon Street and Black Sheep. They're the two that I know. Basically, it's avoid Pret, avoid Burley's, avoid Starbucks, Costa,
and avoid the one that's avoid the cafe that's in your own office because they're normally dreadful.
And don't ever drink the coffee in your own office.
No. There's people in my place making their own coffee, like with like.
I've thought about it
with instants and whatnot. It's like a big jar of that, and I'm like, what?
I thought about taking this boy in.
Yeah, you have people trying to pour their own though.
Well, yeah, you leave that on your desk and someone will go, yeah.
They will. Anyway.
There you go. But anyway, so I'm not surprised by the digital sales, and I expect them to just continually, at least in the UK market, to creep up over 90% in time.
It looks like how it's going to go. I'm interested because the European sales, I might return to doing those because I think they keep us honest, those sales charts. So when they're available, I'll mention in there. Normally, Chrissy Dring from Games and Showbiz does the breakdowns of interesting stuff. Diablo 4 obliterated all competition to be the clear number one in the UK and was actually the second fastest game of the year after 4 weeks behind Hogwarts Legacy. So that really has been a massive success.
Does that put over on your sniffometer or not?
Well, we spoke earlier, didn't we? I'm waiting for Phil's check to be coming through the mail. And then at that point, that should mean this goes on there. So there's no need to be handing over money to Blizzard whilst they're independent. I can sit here and wait. It's funny because earlier in the week, before the FTC decision kind of got squashed, the president of Blizzard said Diablo 4 is not going to Game Pass, and I was like, well, when Phil's your boss, it will be. It will be. I don't know why you'd come out and say that the week of we're expecting a significant shift either way. Because once Phil takes the reins of that, he'll be going, right, how do we get it on there? Do it. Yeah. There's no... we'll save the conversation for because I think that's going to be interesting. But that's what I expect to happen. So at this point, Diablo 4 doesn't need to be purchased.
Because I'm aware that we get drawn into speculation and we're probably overrunning. But Do you think they will not put? They'll only put exclusives on Game Pass. Like anything that's cross-platform, do you think they will leave? Or part of the agreement might be cross-platform. It can't go on Game Pass.
So I suspect there are. So for Call of Duty, for example, the report suggests there's an agreement in place between Sony and Activision that no day and date Game Pass or subscription services for Call of Duty until 2025, because they've got the marketing rights until that point. As part of that deal, Sony go, well, we can't give you the X amount of money and then you chuck it on a service day one because it cuts our. What's the point in this? So, but once those expire, I expect Call of Duty will go on their day one. That'll be multi-platform. I expect Diablo 4, because I look at things like Minecraft Legends, which is a lower rung but is multi-platform, day and date on Game Pass, but you buy it for 50 quid on PlayStation. It's just it's a money spinner, isn't it? You've got an audience over there who are still buying games, and for your guys that are in your ecosystem, you're offering them extra value.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Yeah,
that would be my prediction if I had to predict, and I have.
Drawing one out. I'll draw him out right at the end of the podcast. Yeah. Put that in the title. Prediction.
The more complicated things will be things like World of Warcraft, but I will save those conversations for another day, because that's a subscription-only game to access, and it's kind of like, does that stay? Does that become Game Pass? And then I don't know. We'll talk about it when it's all done and we're happy and I've got my money.
Yeah, once that check's through, we'll get into speculation.
Absolutely. Right, I'm going to transition out of this. I don't know what I'm going to put on there. You already know because the title of the episode is giving it away. But Logan and I are done for this particular segment. So we will see you on the other side.
Welcome to the Dimp digital voicemail service. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello, Apps here. I'm going to be speaking about my recent playthrough of Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm speaking about it on this voicemail dump because I didn't think it deserved a full segment on the show. So that's why I've done that. The more important question, why am I playing this game, over 5 years after it's kind of came out? The reason for that is because I actually didn't finish the game, in quotations, back in 2017. I did all the way until Act 3. And at the time, there was a fourth act, which, in my opinion, after having given it a go for a few hours, was a grindy, bloated mess. And it was essentially having to defend the fortresses that you'd taken throughout the game. If you failed to defend it, you then had to attack it and retake it. And you had to do this 20 times. And obviously, if you failed a fortress and had to retake it, you had to do that again. So actually, if you failed all your defences, you could be doing this 40 times. Attack, defend, defend, attack, defend, attack, defend, attack. And it was there, in my opinion, to try and tempt people into buying the loot boxes which were present in the game. And the orcs with real money, completely marred the game at launch and throughout. Anyway, I did it for a few hours and tapped out. I was like, this is just ridiculous. I've got to do this at least 20 times, if not more. And every single stage, there's an escalation on the power level of the orcs that will come in my way. And at that point, there was no reasonable way for me to level up my orcs without massively grinding or paying some money to do it. So I binned it. About a year or so later, Monolith dropped a massive update that removed all the loot boxes and any options for you to spend additional money. And they also significantly shortened Act 4 and renamed it as an epilogue with some additional story dialogue to kind of tie it closer to the actual ending that takes place. But since I saw that, I've always kind of wanted to go back and finish it. Anyway, the long and short of it is I started again and decided to go through it. And it's aged really badly, in my opinion. The open zones that you access, like the open world parts of it, are so small. They really are small in comparison. They're not designed in an open way either. There's lots of kind of what I call landscape corridors, where they funnel you through tight zones to get to kind of like a base that's there. There's small open zones, but they're all kind of spoked off, and it's just not a it's a chore to traverse in this game. And there's absolutely no connection between the open world and the story missions. You know, you might be in the middle of a big fight, have 50 orcs up your arse, and you can just walk up to a story mission icon, hit RB, and it will unload all those orcs, reload the story mission, and guess what? Everything's disappeared. There's no carryover. There's no connection between the story missions and the open world stuff. It's not seamless. It's completely disconnected. And then really the combat challenge in itself seems to come from numbers rather than interesting battles or strategies. Like they just, in order to make the game harder, they think, well, let's give you 2 captains at a time, 3 captains, 4 captains at a time, with 10 orcs, 20 orcs, 50 orcs, 60, and it just gets ridiculous. Like it's just a complete mess. I could never get to a place where I felt like I was seamlessly managing it. I mean, I got through it. It wasn't really a hard game per se, but it didn't feel very satisfying. I just felt like this was a battle of attrition, or relied on me running away and just stealth attacking the captains or the bigger enemy. So yeah, not very interesting there. And it's a shame, because the Nemesis system is very interesting, and it was nice to see some of the expanded features in this, and the fort kind of defense and attack mechanic, or segments of the game should have been great, and they weren't either. They just just completely end up unwinding into another mess of just orcs and powers and all sorts of crap. So it's just all the interesting stuff's buried in this tiresome, repetitive, and boring game, and for that reason, it will not be going into the Dimp Digital Gaming Gallery, and certainly will not be showcased in my personal exhibition. Cheers.
Here we are then, back with some gaming impressions from the governors of gaming. The gaming clique, the leaders of it anyway. Got Adkins here, doing some Microsoft.
Oh, Big Phil's got me. He's got me by the bollards and told me that I've got to start completing.
You got to finish all my. You got to finish the 2021 games, he said. So let's kick off with Halo Infinite. So, first of all, brief background on you and Halo. How do you two get on?
Me and Halo have a rich history.
Yeah.
Went back to the old days of the Xbox the OG Xbox.
Did you have one?
I had one. Yeah, I had. Well, actually, that's a lie. My brother had one.
Yeah.
And I swapped it with him.
What did you swap?
A GameCube.
I feel like you.
Don't know if I did there. At the time I had a PS2 and he bought an Xbox because do you remember there was a WWE Raw?
Yeah.
And he bought that and I was like, hey, you bastard, I really want that. So after he played Raw, he was done with that. And then I had the GameCube and I was like, oh, I really want that fucking Halo. So I ended up swapping it with him, but strong-arming him to get it out of him and come away with that. And then bought Halo and played through it. Didn't ever play it online until must have been 3. I don't think I ever did. No,
I never did. 3 was
2.
No.
2 was on original Xbox as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like a year afterwards or something crazy. Like they fucking wrenched it out, like really close after. But
So yeah, played that, loved it at the time. Thought it was brilliant. 2 even better, incredible. Then 3 was probably where the peak of actually no, it might have been peak, maybe Reach. Really like Reach, but yeah, went through 3, and that's where the online bit came in because that was when Xbox Live was at its top prime, and then ODST I dabbled in that as well, and Reach I fucking loved that one. It was might have been one of my favourites. But after that, I hit a bit of a lull, and I didn't get 4 or 5 on release.
Oh.
Because I didn't buy an Xbox One until probably about 2 or 3 years after it was released. Because that was when I delved into the Master Race, and told Elbra that I won't be needing these new consoles because I'm now Master Race. But it wasn't until years later. I think I bought it on. I bought 4 on 360, and then played like 2 missions and never went back.
Right.
And then it was only, I don't know, it's probably a good 5-6 years ago now, that then went back to it on Xbox One. I think on that Master Chief Collection,
Yes.
I played through 4.
Yeah.
And then I think it was when I bought my Xbox One.
Waiting for Halo 5.
It came, yeah. Halo 5 had
Guardians.
Guardians had come out, and so played through 4 and 5 back to back, and had a torrid old time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it sort of hit a lull. 3 and 4, 3 and Reach were sort of my peak of the Halo. So I've played all the mainline games. I've not delved. I had a friend that I used to work with at Lloyd's, and he was like the Uber Halo. He used to read the books, fucking. He was really indulged in the lore, and he sort of got me into it a bit. Like I was quite interested in it, but yeah, like I say, because I didn't get Xbox day one.
Bet he loves that TV show.
Yeah,
Must be a dream come true for him.
It probably is actually. Yeah, takes his helmet off and go, "Oh, what's going on here? Fucking hell!" So yes, yeah, hit a big lull and was very late to system. And then, so yeah, Infinite was the first one that I was back on track for release day.
Nice. There we go. So I guess the people are querying this because I'll give Adkins some slack in that we record these sometimes in batches, so they don't go up for a number of weeks. But the audience will no doubt be asking, why is it taking him on 6, 7, however many months it's been to finish what is essentially a 10-hour campaign that he got on release day in November. So I want to explore this and what's happened.
Explain this.
Explain yourself.
I did. I was listening to your spoiler cast, and you were explaining this to Evan about how Atkins picks up these games and then plays them for 2 weeks, and then goes back to them like 8 years later. I was like, that's exactly what I do. And it is infuriating. I'm infuriated myself, but this, unfortunately, along with 2 other games which we will review, was dropped for a little tiny game called Elden Ring.
That didn't come out till 3 months after that. Don't give me that.
Was there something else then?
Well, the nearest thing that probably came out, I'm thinking, would have been Pokemon in January. But it's a 10-hour cat.
I don't know why this got dropped. It wasn't like I even was sick of it or anything like that. I don't know why. I just stopped playing it.
I know you tried to play Demon's Souls around that time because you was like, I want to do that before Elden Ring. So I don't know if that knocked it off and then it never...
that does ring a bell now, yes.
I'm letting you off the hook here. I mean, it's...
Yeah, something come along and I don't know, I get in these ruts sometimes as well, and just nothing can get through, and I will just drop everything. And I'll have like a 2-week gap or 3-week gap where I just watch like films or something.
Yeah.
And I won't even look at that Xbox. So it might have been that's what's happened, but yeah, I mean, I was jumping on the online of this quite early doors.
Yes, that's
obviously
true.
It came out before the campaign, didn't it?
Yes, we had that period
there. So I remember jumping on with Gallia, was it? Yeah, Gallia and even old Pee Wee. He was jumping on. Then we had our big night.
Yeah, we had our Xmas booze up.
That was it. Yeah, that was brilliant. That was, and I was really enjoying it. And then when the campaign dropped, I sort of played it for. I feel very short. I think I only played it for like a week, and then dropped it like a bad habit. But it wasn't. I remember at the time thinking I've dropped it, but it's not that I wasn't enjoying it. I just stopped playing. Yeah. I don't know why. But no, this was back in the Halo, and I was quite hyped for this after seeing like obviously the huge delay and stuff. I was one of the few people that didn't think it looked that bad. You know, I didn't think it looked on that original showing when they released that trailer.
Right, when that Craig Monkey was there, and there was
the Craig Monkey. So I didn't pick up on him at all. or anything. I wasn't blown away by it.
It's fucking brute, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah,
They do like
absolute
monkeys, don't they? Or apes or whatever they do.
It was.
That's a brute.
That's an absolute
Gaming
brute.
Click
I
says.
I did pick out the technical, the popping and stuff like that. I saw that. I was like, that's not great, but
It's
in terms of
early.
the-
We don't know what it's. Yeah.
yeah, in terms of that, and then we got the year delay, and then seeing the first one because it had been so long and I hadn't really been keeping up. They were doing like some sort of logs, but I didn't watch any of them.
No.
Where that's just sort of gone out my brain, I couldn't tell. Like it looked nicer and free. It wasn't until I actually saw sort of the Digital Foundry comparison. I was like, "Oh, that is a feasible upgrade." You know,
Yeah.
in terms of textures and God knows what. So seeing that did really get me quite hyped again. So yeah, I was all on board to jump in. But yeah, so I did get it done. Then yeah, it got dropped. So when did it come out? November, did it?
Yeah.
November. So and then when did Elden Ring come out?
March,
March.
early March. Yeah, it was the first week
Yeah.
of March or the last week of Feb.
So this got binned completely over Christmas and into the new year. Yeah.
Well,
It was
Pokemon came
only-
out late January, so you picked that up, didn't you? And that's,
Yeah,
that's
picked that
another
up
one
on-
that's not as we
another
record.
couple of
So
weeks.
it's been finished. So
Yeah.
that's fallen by
That's
the
still
wayside.
on the back. That is.
And then by the time
There
you
will
got
be
into
games.
mid-March, we had Horizon lurking, so you played that basically
Yep.
for a week, or maybe more than that actually, because you didn't get Elden Ring day one, did you?
No, I didn't. No,
A couple of weeks
no,
you restrained yourself,
no,
and then
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. then
anyway, Halo
sucked
Infinite
in.
was the casualty of that.
Yeah, it was the casualty, but alas.
So
once
after
Elden
multiple
Ring was-
months of playthroughs on the campaign, we can talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the multiplayer if you want, but I feel like most of this is going to be focused around
yeah,
campaign. But what did you make of this thing? Because we've got grappling hooks and open world recipe for
Yeah.
absolute success. Phil said.
I was gonna say, I've got to say, I was quite up on it to be honest. I did enjoy my time in the Halo Infinite. I thought it was a breath of fresh air for the franchise having its thing, but it did have scenes of sort of familiarity. Like when you went into these, there was a lot of repetition that on the mission fronts. That was a bit of a
And in
downer.
just the environment.
Yeah, and just the environment,
That was-
exactly that.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a barren wasteland out there, with the odd thing here and there. But yeah, sort of going to these waypoints, and then you'll go down into whatever they fucking called it, the library
Base
or
a
God
lair
knows what.
or a library.
Exactly, the library. Into your library, boys.
It's the
When you was
flood.
in there, that was it. You go down, and I was like, oh, I'm just playing Halo again. It's just, this claustrophobic, narrow environments where I'm going through and absolutely drilling 400 little fucking
Grunts.
grubs or grunts. Grub.
Goblins.
Jeff Grubbs down there.
Fucking blow
and
him
yeah.
away.
Absolutely blown away. Yeah, the grappling. I mean, it'd be interesting to go back now and play Halo 4 or 5
Mate.
without that grappling.
I
hook.
was
It would-
thinking this, yeah.
It would be an absolute stinker.
It feels like such a cheap, not cheap, but it feels like such an obvious introduction to so many games
Yeah.
that I would agree. Yeah, going back to even like Halo 3, which is considered great, and even like 1 and 2 look fantastic on the Master Chief Collection. Just not
Yeah.
having that flexibility.
Because
Because
going
it-
back to the multiplayer. where
Yes.
You don't get it.
Oh,
you
that
can
is
get it,
that's
but
one of my
it's
biggest
not-
gripes. That it's a pickup, and you only get to use it 4 times. Because I got so used to using the grappling hook in the campaign that then it's stripped away from you. I was like, oh, this really does neuter the experience because for me, I was just using it subconsciously for nearly everything. Getting around up that hill, I'm not going to run up there. I'm just going to go. Then when you come to an enemy, it's like, oh, I'll just grapple hook above him on that tree and drop down and it just opens up all these different kind of options to you as a player and just
Yeah.
makes things so smooth. It's so well implemented, that grappling hook.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the key things that they added to that gameplay. It wasn't much like it was very much the core gameplay and shooting mechanics weren't broken in the first place, so they
No.
just tried to improve upon it. But no, that addition of the grappling hook, the guns felt nice. Yeah, To be honest, it was. What I did like, I can't remember what game you had. Like the animation, like it was like an execution kill. I think was it in 5 you had.
Yeah, I
They
think
took
you
that
did.
away.
Yeah.
I quite liked that. That was quite fun, but alas, yeah. I do like the clear down. It felt the world felt very reminiscent to me of like a Far Cry game, where you've got these little settlements that you can go in, clear down, do the objective, get out, and then you're on to the next one. You didn't really bump into a lot in the world, like dynamically. There wasn't much going on there.
No.
Sometimes you get like a couple of overhead, what they call like ghosts or whatever,
That's it. Yeah.
flying above your heads. So the world felt a bit dead overall, to be honest. And like you say, there was a lot of repetition. I really like when they do missions that are sort of almost set pieces.
Yeah.
It's like Halo 2 or 3, where you had the escapes fucking on the warthog and you fucking escape.
I love those. Yeah, I fucking love those missions where you have to like
They're
escape
brilliant.
the base that's blowing up. And they give you like 8 minutes, and you think I'm never gonna make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you finish it with like 6 minutes and change. You're like, wow, that was easy actually.
That's it.
Or if you played it co-op, I remember I played it with Reeves going back. This is Halo 3. You played it on Legendary. I think he fell off or died on the warthog like halfway through, and I just drove through on my own and finished it. He was like, "You left me," and I was like, "Well, timer, mate."
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, no, it's good. But yeah, I felt it did lack from that. It needed a couple of sort of big, heavy moments because of how sort of big and epic it felt. I thought the story was serviceable. Like it was. I quite liked how grounded it was. It was just like, you've got your typical baddie, the story of him taking over, introducing characters. It does get it's a fucking Halo game, so when it starts going into all fucking AI bollocks and all that, can get a bit convoluted. But for the most part, I thought that the story was quite sort of easy to follow for a Halo game. No, sometimes sort of 4 and 5, I couldn't tell you now what the fuck them two were about. Nah. But characters wise, the villain, it was like quite a good character. I quite liked seeing his sort of motives, and he looked quite vicious, to be fair.
He was a vicious monkey, that one.
He was a vicious monkey. Craig hadn't been with him long.
No. Did you find the Craig like vigil or like little Easter egg?
I think I did see. I don't know if I found it in game.
Oh, I knew it was there before I played it, but I did find it randomly.
Oh,
There's
really?
like a little picture of him, and I can't remember the note says, but it's got like Craig's little head there. I was like, that's
excellent.
fucking
There's some good.
hilarious.
There is some good Easter eggs. I remember like right at the beginning of the game, there was like a room I walked into. It's like a fucking games cabinet in there. I was like, oh, what's this room? There's some good stuff. There's like loads of like Master Chief Teddies knocking about in random bits as well.
Yeah.
But the story is what it is. Really, it's like you say, it is very short. I know them. I suppose probably the earlier ones were probably longest. Probably Halo 1 to 2 is probably like 10 to 18 hours long. 15.
I'll have a look. I'll have a look for you.
Yeah.
Continue.
But yeah, I felt this didn't outstay its welcome. It was quite neatly packed, and it was only me going through doing clear down, but that did make it feel more repetitive than it needed to be honest, because I did start clearing down all those fucking what was it, like the armor packs, the fucking towers and things like that. So I did get into a rut of the absolute Far Cry clear down.
Yeah.
But no, overall I enjoyed my time. I liked it. It didn't do a great deal in it was a nice refresher for Halo.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say like that's it now. The Halo has to be open world from now on. This is the only way they can go.
Yeah.
We'll see, but yeah, I'm interested to see where they go. I'm not hugely excited for another one so soon.
No. We won't.
You
Don't worry.
No.
We won't get one
that is
soon.
very true.
Don't you worry.
No. I assume we will get another one down the line, but yeah, it's not going to be any time soon.
I mean, who knows with the timing? They could announce something tomorrow, but they may have already announced it by the time this airs. But I suspect there'll be some sort of story campaign added to Infinite. The term,
Right.
the term Halo Infinite to me suggests that
Is it
perhaps
gonna-
they'll be going in that direction.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah.
fuck no. I mean, fuck knows with what 343 are up to. I mean, it's not been a rocket. Going back to the How Long to Beats. So it's of that website. People that don't know, people submit their kind of their timings on completing games. It's supposed to aggregate that and give you a rough idea. So Halo Combat Evolved. So that's the first one. 10 hours.
10. Cool.
Halo 2. 9 hours.
Oh.
Halo 3. 8 hours.
Oh.
I'll skip ODST, but that was 6 hours. I haven't skipped it. I've said it now. So blown that. Halo 4, 7.5 hours.
Oh.
Halo 5, 8 hours. Halo Reach, I'm in the wrong order, 8 hours. Halo Infinite, 11 hours. The Behemoth!
The Behemoth game. Yeah, I think I spent about 18 in it or something. I think. But
Oh, wow.
Like I say there was a lot of
Is that,
lot of clear.
is that including multiplayer or not? Or is that a separate?
Oh yeah, that will actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know if I can get campaign. It might be in the game. I'll have to have a look. But but yeah, yeah. Overall, I was quite happy with what I played.
Yeah.
It wasn't it didn't blow me away, but it wasn't one of those games where I sort of was left with a sour taste and sort of.
No.
I think because of the trouble that it had, it lowered my expectations of it. So I wasn't expecting to go right, this is going to be their fucking Last of Us killer or God of War killer. You know, like I know this is their biggest game essentially, and this maybe Gears.
Yeah, you're right. Halo
Yeah.
historically has and probably still is, as we talk now, but there has if Halo Infinite's now the pinnacle, then they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I suspect
Exactly.
things like Starfield will lap it. I suspect things like Hellblade will lap it. I suspect things like Avowed will lap it. I suspect things like Fable will lap it. I say I suspect, I hope. That's what I hope
Yeah.
for. I hope that these games fucking lap it and we get all of Sony's top games still firing on all cylinders, and then Xbox have 4 or 5 of their own, and it's just going to be the absolute championship. We'll never finish anything. But
No.
so in terms of the gallery itself, I've got these fucking keys here. Still ain't got these. Am I unlocking the door here, or are we just going to go down the pub? What are we doing with Infinite?
Nah, we'll get the keys out. We'll lock it inside.
Ow!
I'll get the fucking medals out. I'm going down the line. I'm looking at the platinums. I pick one up. I put that down. I get the gold out.
Yeah.
I look at that. I put that down. I pick the silver up.
Here we go.
I award Philip Seymour. I don't know what his middle name is.
I think it is Seymour.
Made that up. Philip Spencer, your golden goose, Halo Infinite, in the Adkins realm, gets a silver.
Easy peasy. Phil, take that.
Easy peasy. That's it. Yeah, good. Like I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed. The trouble is these games do annoy people, and at that time it did annoy me because it was this open world of clear down. This was, like you say...
Well, at least it weren't 30 hours of it. It was...
Exactly that, yeah. It shouldn't have been dropped off as quick as it did because of how short it was, but some weird Adkins brain mechanism happened here. It got chucked to the back of the queue. I think we had... It might have been Forza as well.
Well, Forza may have come out a few weeks before.
Yeah.
So you may have been...
So we had that.
Yeah.
So I had that. So I had Forza, Halo...
Yeah.
Elden Ring and Horizon all together.
Yeah.
So I had this cacophony of open world bloat fest.
Let's not forget, at the end of last year, you also done that thing where you went and played like the Stanley Parable, Torchlight. You went and found a load of short, Space Marine. You went and played all these games just to get your numbers up, basically.
Yeah, that is very true. I think I'm going to have to do this year because my numbers are
mine
abysmal.
are awful this year. They are pretty appalling.
As we sit here, we're into the 7th month of the year, and I have completed a whopping
exposed the business.
9 games. That's not even
Yeah, it's only one a month. But,
One a month, I suppose. But then there are games in there. There's one at this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that's 2 hours long. So
yeah, it's true.
terrible.
Oh, I
really.
done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've done my years.
Yeah,
One a
you've
month.
done one a month.
Well, that's
One a
all-
month. I suppose a game should take that long.
Yeah,
But,
I think last year I did like 20. I did fucking loads
So
last
yeah,
year.
you done loads
Smashed
last year.
it.
That was a very, very good year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Halo was happy with the story. I thought it looked really good, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
playing it, I played it on that 4K. No, the 60 FPS.
The full
Tell you no, I
performance.
played it in 120.
Oh
mode.
yeah.
I didn't realise I had. I think I'd done it
Liquid.
for the multiplayer.
Yes.
So I'd hooked it up for that, and I was like, right, yeah, we'll play that 120. Forgot I'd left it on, so when I was playing that, and then there was a few textures, I was like, God, that looks dog rough. That's really fuzzy. So I had a little look, and then realised that there wasn't the typical frame rate to what's it called mode. It just goes by whatever frame rate you put it in, doesn't it? You get these
okay.
120, 60, 30.
Yeah.
So like 30's full moolah 4K.
Yeah.
And like 60's 1440 or whatever.
Fucking 60 FPS 4K feels touting for Series X.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some sort of 4K monster. It can't even get fucking
Yeah.
Craig to do 60 4K. These fucking monkeys
that's
running
it.
around.
He looks like an absolute brute in there at the
Yeah,
end, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's-
Yeah, so I pumped it up to 60 and then was like, right, okay, now it's looking a bit more pretty. And
Yeah.
it does. Like, I think the cutscenes and stuff, some of the lighting in it and that with the sort of fucking neon lights and some of them indoor environments look really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy with it overall. It's serviceable for the time it lasts. I'm glad it weren't a fucking 20-hour block, 'cause I think I would have got sick of it by the end.
Oh yeah.
I've played a couple of hours after I'd done the story and cleared a little bit down. Didn't 100% it.
No.
But
Yeah. I think it's fine. I think I had it in the bronze category from like last
Oh,
year's
did you?
stuff. Yeah, it's just that had it. I mean, it's quite short, so maybe this wasn't possible. But needed a desert or something to go to, like just
Yeah,
something
it
a bit
did,
different.
yeah.
And if you weren't going to do that, then the story missions I wanted there to be different environments. But they were basically
Yeah.
ships and like little bases. So
a lot of repetition.
definitely. I mean, I know they've had a lot of problems 343 with Infinite being a live service game, which is what it is. It's a free to play multiplayer game. For 70% of it. But I do feel like some of the gameplay that they've introduced for Infinite with the grappling hook and how that translates to a more open environment is really there's something there. If they can just cobble together a consistent campaign for people to go off and play. But I fear that if the multiplayer fails, that what happens after that? I don't know. We'll see. But we'll close it down for this week. Nothing more for us to say here other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.